Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Foxy New.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back to the Raw Truth with the IBFP, and we gotta be honest and unbiased, and that's the number one thing that we're going to do is tell you the truth when no other channel will tell you the truth. Guys will sugarcoat things, guys will hide things, but we will tell you the truth. These are the fighters who actually lost: Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather, and Tyson Fury. And these are guys who actually lost fights, but people don't want to acknowledge it. People want to ignore it. People act like these guys are the best fighters they've ever seen in their life. And all of these guys are talented, skillful fighters, and this takes nothing away from them. But you can lose a fight and still be a great or an elite fighter. All of these guys have honestly lost a fight. Most channels won't tell you that. Most channels will ignore that. You got to look past what the records say, and let's get to the absolute raw truth. And look, let's break it down. First thing we got to do is keep the same energy. And what I mean by that is, when people talk about robberies in boxing, people talk about, Ryder Smith, Canelo Triple G, Porter Ugas, Fury Wilder 1. You talk about all of these fights plus more, and we have to keep the same energy about all of these fighters. People don't want to mention Floyd Mayweather's name when it comes to this. People don't want to mention Tyson Fury's name. People don't want to mention Andre Ward's name. They want to sugarcoat it. They want to pacify you. They want to lie to you. We are not going to do that. We're going to tell you the truth. We have to keep that same energy for all three of these fighters, and we can't make excuses. And we start with Andre SOG Ward. And when he fought Sergey Kovalev, we thought that was a very interesting fight. But the funny thing about that fight is, we clearly saw Sergey Kovalev getting the best of Andre Ward in that fight. We've never seen Andre Ward look the way he looked in that particular fight. And we all know that Sergey Kovalev got the victory. This is the same Andre Ward that was talking about going up to heavyweight and that he could beat Anthony Joshua. But yet he never did it. See, this is what happens when you build these guys up into something else. Andre Ward, no way in hell would he be able to take one shot from Anthony Joshua. He simply couldn't do it. Sergey Kovalev dropped him. We got to be honest about what we're seeing in the ring. At the end of the day, Andre Ward was a great fighter. He's a Hall of Fame fighter, but he did lose that first fight to Sergey Kovalev, and that's just being honest. Most channels won't tell you this. Most people will ignore this, but we won't, because we have to keep that same energy with everybody. And we get to Floyd Mayweather. This guy, Floyd Mayweather says he's TV, the best that's ever done it. Act like everybody was easy work. Everybody was a pushover. And he also fought a lot of guys at the right time, if you know what I mean. He'll fight a guy past his prime or way before his prime. And we got to be honest about who Floyd Mayweather is. But at the end of the day, he is a Hall of Famer. He is one of the greatest fighters we've ever seen. He is accomplished. He is skillful. He is a special fighter in our history, and I respect Floyd Mayweather greatly, but we got to keep that same energy with Floyd Mayweather that we do with everybody else. And he lost that fight to Luis Castillo. He clearly lost that fight to Luis Castillo, and a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that. They want to ignore that. They want to hold on and glorify his undefeated record. They want to push it up and pump it up, and they say, oh, this guy lost to this guy lost to that guy, but you don't want to mention Floyd Mayweather. At the end of the day, this guy lost. At the end of the day, this guy lost that fight. And, Luis Castillo was absolutely robbed. It was one of the biggest robberies in the sport of boxing, and people still refuse to acknowledge it. But we're going to keep that same energy with Floyd Mayweather that we do with Canelo Alvarez, that we do, with, guys like Deontay Wilder. We got to keep that same energy with, guys like Callum Smith, Sean Porter, like against Ugas. We got to keep the same energy. We cannot ignore the truth. And you see a guy like Tyson Fury, John McDermott, Tyson Fury, the first fight, that was a very interesting fight. No one expected this, but we've also seen Tyson Fury struggle with bums in the past. We've seen Tyson Fury struggle with guys who are lower tier competition. We've seen this before. We've really seen this. Now look, let me be honest with you. we look at it like this. You know, John McDermott won that fight. It was a close, rugged fight, but he won that fight. John McDermott put everything on the line and he won a close fight, but he didn't get the victory and it went the other way. And, you know, we're so certain that John McDermott won the fight that Tyson Fury's own dad even agrees that he won the fight. And this is what I mean. You know, John McDermott, and I quote, stated that I was outside in a parked car about to get in my car, you know, and to give him his due, and Tyson Fury's dad said, hey, you won today, well done. And so we got to be real about it. At the end of the day, we know John McDermott won this fight, and we have to keep the same energy with Tyson Fury that we keep with everybody else. These guys are all great fighters. These guys have great, you know, legacies. These guys are all going to be Hall of Famers, and there's no shame in losing a fight. But to act like these guys couldn't struggle in the fight, to act like these guys could never face the style that met their match or that figured them out. Let's just be honest. The judges get it wrong. The fanboys are going to defend an inaccurate decision because that's who they are, fanboys. But what we're going to do is give you the truth, unbiased, raw, and factual. As always, it's the IBFP.